Hey guys, I'm gonna try a new concept or whatever, shopping on what I look for on local marketplace. Now, this can vary widely depending on where you live, what you have access to. So I live in kind of a rural part of Oregon, but there's the cities of Eugene, Salem, and Portland. Also, Vancouver, Washington's not super far away. And there is a lot of deals because it is summertime. There's still going to be a lot of deals up until kind of back to school and even going into those times. So I'm going to fire up my screen recording on my phone and we'll just go through a couple listings. So right there, it started so we can sync up. And I'm looking through here. Let's see. Some of the Mesa heads have been coming down in price, especially locally. This one says Solo 50. Head with the cab for 1750 is pretty good. Ooh, bunch of pedals that on this pedal board. It says the cab is sold. So the head for 900. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. So that's actually a pretty good deal. I'm a Telecaster person. I have 8 tellies. I probably should do a dedicated video just about the 8 tellies. This is one that I saw earlier. This is what maybe kind of want to do the video. So you've got the price here, $325. It's not super far away. This is a really good deal. So you've got made in Mexico. I don't have all the serial numbers memorized. This is probably like a 2007 or so, especially with what a standard series is going for now, or what a player series they're called now, like $899, $325 for the same quality of guitar. A lot of times these older made in Mexico ones were really quite good. There was a year that it changed with the frets and the pickups around 2006 or 7. I slightly prefer those slightly bigger frets, slightly more modern pickups, but still Alnico 5. But yeah, this one looks clean. This is something I saved to look at later in case price drops or I decide I want to go for it. These orange cabs, it's just one for sale, 500. It says 80s. That's pretty cool. So that'd be old orange stuff. So for me too, I'm also looking at location. If people are willing to travel, because I like it when they can bring the gear to me. I don't mind paying a slight premium for that. It's just a me thing. Everyone has their different things that they do. I was looking at this Focusrite Claret interface. This is actually pretty good deal. I was wondering because I have a Scarlett 1820. I thought that's what it might have been. I know kind of reverb value. So if you're going to sell something, I actually would recommend reverb if you don't mind shipping. It's slightly better for a lot of reasons. You have a bigger marketplace and all this. I know Sweetwater's launching something, but for picking stuff up, I still think marketplace is where you can get some of the best deals, especially because people aren't willing to ship certain items, especially cabs, some people with guitars and like amp related things. So looking through here, I look at old Fender stuff. I look a little bit of drum stuff occasionally just to keep it priced. This Blues Deluxe is a pretty good deal. Looking through, this is something with shipping. So I really want a Squier Paranormal Troublemaker with the, because the binding and the control layout and stuff like that. So shipping, 300 is a little steep, but like here's this made in Mexico. So this is like more indicative of what I would be looking at. Yeah. So this one's pretty beat up now looking at these photos. Hey, if they're showing you in the photos what they have, it's sometimes a good idea to do that. I do look at parts casters occasionally. This is another one that's shipping. I'm looking more at local stuff, especially really local to me, because oftentimes people from Portland won't come down. So that's how I got a few different instruments actually, is through that. I met some cool neighbors actually from that. Yeah, looking at a lot of results from this. Classic vibe stuff is usually the best Squiers. Looking for a lot of those. But see, one thing to avoid is like bullet series tellies, unless they're really cheap. Like this one, they won't weigh too much for. You can get a Classic Vibe new sometimes on clearance for less than that. Let's see, what is this? Tuxedo Telecaster. Yeah, there's something going on there. It's not the best or the worst deal. I'm gonna keep looking. I've seen this one sometimes. You'll see and like your marketplace starts getting tailored to what you look for, and you can obviously search by keywords, and I could be doing that. The main things that I collect are PV amps and Telecasters, because I can make a lot of pedals. I will look at pedal deals occasionally, and it'll show them to me a lot. There was like a DD7 for $60 the other day. It was really cheap. I was really looking at that. The Harley Benton stuff, pretty good deals. Yeah, seeing a lot of shipping. Let's click local and see what that does. I know there is a plethora X5 like I used to have that's local that was really good. Been seeing the Axe Effects, especially the older models, come down in price. Been looking at those lately, especially with foot switches. They can be a really good value. One thing to not necessarily avoid, actually, I kind of like that, because I almost would have passed on this Tele neck just because of the price, but it is a conversion 24 and 3/4 inch scale, and sometimes people are willing to trade for pedals. There's all different levels of to listings. I'm sure you noticed. Something to avoid, there's going to be a lot of like beginner gear and kind of starter level gear that's overpriced. But if you're in it for flipping, sometimes those things transact pretty easily and you can make some money getting into those things. Like I'm saying here, Ultra Bassam Pro, this is like pretty entry level stuff, but for $50, you know, you never know. Oh, perfect. This is a really like solid, okay, it's in Portland. Made in Mexico stuff that's a couple years old. People are still thinking about what the old prices used to be, and the used market is actually really competitive compared to what a brand new player series goes for. So $350 for a Mexican J bass, that's like my old prices. Doesn't have a lot of details in the listing. One picture, perfect. That's the kind of stuff that I look for. Good price, not like, oh my gosh, I have to get that price, but that's pretty good. Sometimes too, look in the background of the people's listings. Like this one's like guitars for trade, some for drum stuff. Doesn't look like anything I'm really interested in. This one caught my eye the other day. It's a Michael Kelly Telly that looks pretty cool. Price isn't super great, and I think this one was, oh no, it's in Portland. Older PV stuff, like I said, I look at a lot. This would be an Ultra 120 is basically a 5150 or 6505. It's really similar. It's like the predecessor. It's not the best deal, but again, sometimes you can save those listings and then you'll see price drops. I do like the Gibson stuff. I look at it occasionally, but right this year I'm only acquiring Tellys. I like I back in the day, like 10 years ago, I had a bunch of Ernie Ball music bands, so that's something I look for. I like old Ibanez stuff. I'll sometimes look at that. Yeah, and then sometimes it's just good to know the prices on what things are transacting for. Like here's a perfect example of a Tele that I would be looking at. So it's got a maple neck. This is like an Affinity series, so these are a little better necks and bodies and stuff. They have a little bigger frets. This is something I actually would be pretty interested. Local, yeah, it says it's Infinity, spelled wrong. Perfect, glorious listing, $150. So a replacement neck for a Tele right now, and I have a bunch of guitars with Affinity and Bullet necks on them. They're great. Make for good parts casters. Those are really good bones. Again, been looking at single rectifiers occasionally. I would like to get one for a good deal. There's this PV Fury. I think it's just the bass. So this is like a P bass. This is something I've looked at a couple times, been thinking about it. Not in a huge hurry, but like old USA made PV stuff is really good bang for the buck if you can get the right deals. The T-Series guitars and basses have gone up a lot in value, but some of the other stuff, not that dissimilar in era, is still really good deals. So that's something to keep an eye out for. This is Fender Squire P bass. So it has a Fender logo. They'll probably say something about it. Okay. It says it has a 70s jazz bass neck. Yeah, we're saving that because a 70s jazz bass neck is worth a lot of money. That's crazy. Yeah, that's like a real one. It could have been a parts caster neck, but it looks old. So, hey, this is one of those perfect things to keep an eye out for. A 70s P-bass neck. Let's just go. I'll figure it out on Reverb later if I can. But you get what I'm saying. Like, there's deals to be had, but a lot of times you're kind of just sifting through. So like this Squire Bullet, I have these. These are great guitars. There's nothing wrong with them. 150 bucks is not that good of a deal. A brand new one or on clearance is a little bit more than that. Although prices new have gone up. 150 bucks is not great. It's not terrible though. If you really want a cheap telly, that's the way to do it. Yeah, like this. Looks like some kind of no-name telly. Could be cool. Looks like a lot like the Chinese Amazon brand ones. It says jumbo frets. It's probably flat radius. Some of those are cool. I have had a lot of stuff like that. This is a lot more common. So you're going to see a lot of made in Mexico tellies that come with a case around the 500-ish range. So it's the standard series. Now the standard series is Indonesian. There's nothing wrong with either. What's this? So Mustang offsets in my area tend to go for a little more of a premium versus tellies, and there's a lot less of them. So you'll see a lot of that. Ooh, it's an old, yeah, we're saving that. Old Japanese Talmans are a really good deal, especially one with P90s. That's super killer. 500 is a good deal. So what I'm doing is saving and favoriting. A lot of times you'll just bump the screen on Marketplace and stuff will, go out of view. So this is definitely something to consider. Squire P-Bass, yeah. Some of these older ones are cool. But you guys kind of get the idea. These are things to look for. These are things that I enjoy. Let me know what you guys are on the hunt for. Ooh, there's a Harley Benton. Oops. We're going to end it there. Sorry. Too much stuff going on my phone. So there was a Harley Benton. I have a Harley Benton telly. I've had pretty good luck with it. But with the shipping, they're a little more expensive than what they are listed as on Thomann. So definitely something to consider. But I hope you enjoyed this kind of video. I hope you are on the hunt this summer if you're finding things. I know for a lot of people, they're out doing vacations and family things, so it's a lot less common, but that's why people are selling stuff right now. So like now is the time to get really super good deals. So I hope you enjoyed this little video, and check out Fuzzum.com, and we'll see you next time.